everybody, welcome back. Be sure to subscribe, like the video, and comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. This week I decided to do an additional video because I want to talk about why I believe you should pick up Nocterra number 1. So Nocterra number 1 is actually a up-and-coming image number 1, and it is written by Scott Snyder and drawn by Tony S. Daniel. Now, if you don't know who those people are, Scott Snyder, he is a huge DC influencer, writer. He writes Dark Knight's heavy metal, he read death metal, he's written Batman New 52. He has done a lot of influence throughout the game of comic book world recently, especially within the last 10 years or so. And he is very limited on his creator owns. He usually only goes through the DC subgenre Vertigo, but he does have one other image book called Witches. And I'll talk about Witches a little more down the line and why I compare this book to Witches, just because it sounds kind of similar and it is like the only kind of creator own I can compare it to other than a Vertigo one, which is just a subgenre within DC, still independent, but I still don't think he has that much freedom. So, very exciting that he's writing this one. And Tony S. Daniel, he is also a big DC artist. He's known for doing Batman on Tom King's run, and he's also done Deathstroke. He's done a few others as well. I'm just naming a couple of the top ones that I remember him for. And his art is very particular to me. It's very fine line detailed, and I love that because it does take him time to do one page. He's not an artist that just mass produces comics over and over again. He really shows his detail in every work and every page, and if he cannot get a comic out, they usually get like a filler artist, and I like that a lot. If you're a great artist, you should have the time you need. I don't believe in deadlines, especially for great artists like this. So very excited that the two of them are working on this team together. Nocterra number 1 actually started as a Kickstarter, and I helped kickstart it when it first came out. It's made its goal in less than a day, and the goal it made about $218,000 from what it originally wanted to make $40,000. That is 5 times the goal. And I think that right there just proves how well this comic is going to do. It shows that there's a big, big fandom that not only backs up Scott Snyder, but also Tony S. Daniel and their creator-owned work. I feel like this comic is definitely going to prove and change some things in the game, which I'm very excited for. And so this book, pretty much, Scott Snyder has mentioned that this comic is very heavily influenced on his and his son's fear about the dark, or being alone in the dark. And I don't really relate to that. I'm not too scared of the dark, but I do have other fears, and I do think that's a great concept to embrace your fears and write about them, because it does show how great he can take something and make it something better, something negative, and make it something so positive and bright in his life. And pretty much this comic is 10 years after the world is plunged into an everlasting night that turns all living creatures into monstrous shades. The only way to survive is to stay close to artificial light. And that gives me a very much vampire-esque vibe, werewolf vibe, or monstrous vibes, which I really enjoy. And then we got our main character. We have Valentina, or Val, Riggs. She's a skilled ferryman who transports people and goods along deadly unlit roads with her super illuminated 18-wheeler, which looks pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of like Mad Max in a way as well. So it has like that sci-fi plus the horror-esque genre to it, and it seems like it's going to blend it so well that you're not even going to notice. You're going to really be intrigued in this comic throughout. And a really cool thing is the deadly fear that or the deadly condition that you're not wanting to be is you pretty much get from being socially distanced or being alone in the dark. And that's pretty much when you become your worst self, or your worst monster, your inner demon. And it's deadly for everyone those around you. And I find that so interesting because as of right now, during COVID and everything, you really have to stay away from people. And this comic's really showing you that the only way to survive is to be near a bunch of people. You can't be alone in the dark. But right now, all we're feeling is alone in the dark. And I feel like he did that on purpose. I feel like he purposely wanted to include what is happening right now so that you're more related to it and you could feel for these people. I want to go hang out with my friends so badly, but unfortunately I just can't, and I have to be in my room. And that sucks. So if we can have a comic that we immerse ourselves into imagination with, and we are on the exact opposite end, I am so for it. I'm very excited to see what he does. And reading the synopsis, it really relates to witches. And witches is not just a horror-esque feel. It contains elements of sci-fi. And if you haven't read Scott Snyder's and Jock's Witches, I highly recommend to stop this video and go read that book. It is one of the easiest books for me to sell to customers just because it's a one short story. You can read it at once. It's so fun, scary, it gets your mind thinking, and it's really great. I have people come back to my shop all the time and tell me how great of a comic that is and recommend them something else of this writer or artist, and I think that's just super great. And I feel like this comic is going to be just like Witches. And talk about the variant covers alone. The variant cover artists are fantastic. You have Jock, who drew Witches for Scott Snyder. You have Boss Logic, who is one of the hottest design artists right now. He's known for doing video game designs, but he's also been doing a couple of comic book variants, and most of the time he does a comic book variant, they're super hot. And everybody wants them because they are pretty unique. They're all computerized, they're not hand-drawn, but they are very different from anything else. And I really enjoy that. And of course you have Greg Capullo, who is one of Scott Snyder's best friends, worked on Death Metal and Batman New 52 with him, so that's very exciting. You also have a really cool glow-in-the-dark variant. I mean, what's better than having to be alone in the dark than getting a glow-in-the-dark comic to go with it? It's so great, so fun. I'm probably going to pick up all these comics. And just like looking at that variant list, they're all legends in the game right now. If you look at all those people and you compare what they have released within the last 5 years, they're all really hot. They are all very excited, and I'm really excited for this. And I know I have not read this comic, and I'm trying to tell you to purchase this comic. And I know that's like, why should I purchase it? But I feel very, very confident in this comic. I not only think it's going to be really hot in the secondary market, but I think the reader buzz on this is going to be through the roof. I think so many people are not going to realize what this comic is, and they're going to come in, check it out on the shelf, and they're going to want to pick it up right then and there. They're going to read it, and they're going to come back and ask me for more. And that's when I really am excited for a comic, when I think that I can sell this comic to not just the everyday comic book reader, but to someone who's never read a comic before as well. And I think that's why this comic I am so looking forward to, and I'm very, very excited. This comic, Nocterra #1, releases on March 3rd, 2021. Be sure to pre-order at your local comic book shop if you haven't already, and just give them a call, let them know, hey, I'm very interested in this comic, do you have any available? And I'm sure they'll be more than gladly be able to set it aside for you. And that's all that I have for you today. Have a great day.